all I wanted to do was go deep. And so when the opportunity came up to go on this 3-month experience in India, where the curriculum is in a large part to meditate for most of every single day, I was super curious and open to the opportunity. And that's why I went to India as a primary reason. The secondary reason was relevant to wanting to step into more unconditional service and being a meditation teacher, of which I've had already been for 5 years in a very similar modality, but one that didn't have the spiritual initiation as a prerequisite. It didn't have a 3-month wild, deep journey as a requirement to become that teacher. I had to study, I think, 200 online videos and had to do a bunch of tests and stuff like that as well. But it was nowhere near as comprehensive. So I jumped at it. And that's the pre-frame as to why I did it. Now, one other thing that I want to pre-frame, I'm big on thoroughness in the way that I teach. I don't just reel off surface layer things, boom, boom, boom. I really want you to understand these deeper pieces. And if I summarize the whole journey of evolving spiritually, there's 2 key components to it, really. Actually, that's not true. But there's 2 that are relevant to the earlier stages, which are where the biggest shifts are felt. One is removing of stress, trauma, emotional pain that stands between oneself and their true self. This is the defragmenting and all the forgetting, all of the pain that wraps around like a wall or a series of masks and layers between someone and the expression of their most authentic self. So actually deconditioning, alchemizing emotions, trauma work, etc. That's a really big aspect of the spiritual journey. Then the second thing is making direct connection with spirit, with that deeper place. And so you can look at, let's say, breath work. Breath work can, in the session, support you to get in touch with some of that pain that is inhibiting your connection to spirit. And then if you meditate, depending on which type of meditation you do, but some of the more pure, deeper types of meditation, like Vedic meditation that I teach now, you're connecting straight to spirit in an aspect. Okay. And there's a bunch of other ways to connect deeply with spirit as well. It's also called transcendence. So they're the 2 real categories. Now, this purpose of this podcast is to do a little bit of sharing of my experience in India, but I'm definitely going to do some more pointed, what was my experience like in India podcasts and videos. But this is more just a summary of the whole experience and a summary of where I am at the moment. So when someone puts their hand up to say, hey, I want to do a super intense journey, they're essentially asking for layers to be shed, attachments to be challenged and let go. And so when I officially signed up and said I'm going to India to meditate for 3 months, I had some big resistance start to come up. And that started the month before when I traveled to Europe to spend time with my beautiful partner, Shana, and her really kind and beautiful family, to go on a bit of a trip around Italy, Slovenia, briefly Croatia. And I had some really magic moments while I was over there. But for the large part, I was in one of the most difficult emotional times that I've been in a long time. I had an enormous amount of emotional pain coming up, all centered around family, all centered around being able to trust, love, and feel safe around other people in connection. And so my time when I was in Europe was incredibly challenging. And I was just, in a large part, super stressed, emotionally eating. There was some beauty there. There really was some beauty. and especially spending time in the mountains, but particularly the last week, spending time in Rome, in the city, squished into an apartment with Shana's family. I had so much stuff coming up. It was incredibly painful. And I was actually just busting to start this experience in India, where I could be in a space where I felt that my emotion would be a lot more accepted and welcome. And in a sense, I'd feel safer to process all this heaviness that had been coming up.